of the great, but is more often shaped by many acts of the small. God called Mother Virgin, and she responded yes to that call. God placed before her a dream to be a visionary, and her inner voice responded in the words. I close my eyes, drew back the curtain to say for certain what I thought I knew. Far, far away, someone was calling, but the world was sleeping, and my dream came true. I left my home with love abounding to find my God waiting with a promise so new. And in the east, the dawn was breaking, and the world was waking, and my dream was true, and my dream was true. It was in response to this call, Mother Virgin's dream and vision was supported and added color to this new vision by the strong and visionary people, Mother Jean Marie, Father Harun, and Mrs. Van Dyck Shaw, and several others dreamed for Christ, toiled and worked out for Christ, and dream came true, the dream called Nirmala Hospital. The Chronicles. The pioneers of Nirmala Hospital were Mother Virginie as superior of Nirmala Hospital, Mother Jean Marie, Sister Francisca, Sister Ursula, and Sister Veronica were the community members. On the 5th of August 1952, Mother Veronica gets a medical seat in Medical School, Bangalore. On 18th May 1956, she passed licentiate in medicine. On the 5th of October 1952, first sanction of the land for Nirmala Hospital was granted. Sanction of the government order was passed on the 7th of December 1953. On 31st January 1953, Mother Jean Marie takes Sister Ursula and Miss Francisca to Philomena's Hospital, Bangalore for 18 months training in midwifery. On the 18th of February 1954, the land was handed over to the authorities of Nirmala Hospital. The foundation stone was laid by District Commissioner on the 3rd of June 1954. On the 7th of October, Nirmala Hospital was inaugurated by Monsignor Fariga, Bishop of Mysore, and Mother General Anne-Marie Carlier, and the District Commissioner of Shivamogga, C.V.K. Ram. On the 27th November 1955, maternity section, dispensary, mobile clinic, and maternity home to take care of the health needs of the women and children's foundling home and to take care of the orphan and abandoned babies was opened.
In response to this call, another new venture encountered in the year 1955. Father Wenlock Brooke, parish priest of St. Gertrude, Etterby, had been looking for a religious congregation for social and pastoral services in the parish. In 1955, the Sisters of St.Charles took over and continued the works of creche for the children of single parent, of widows, abandoned, unwed mothers, a dispensary and animation of youth movements in the parish. The pioneers were Sister St. Paul, Sister Mary Ann, Sister Francoise Marie, and Sister Cecily, among whom Sister St. Paul was appointed as a superior of their community. In the year 1951, Mother Anne-Marie was elected Superior General. In the year 1951, on September 27, Sister Mary O'Dale embarked for India on the Marseillaise. Nirmala Kannada Primary School, Bangalore, began on May 25th in the year 1952, and Mother Angela was appointed as headmistress. In the year 1952 November, Father Joseph Vasalius was appointed as spiritual director of the West House by the bishop. Since occasions were on the rise, in the year 1953, the construction and completion of buildings was accomplished. In the year 1955, an amendment of few articles of the Constitution to English from the Golden Rule Book were taken. On September 24th, in the year 1955, Mother Anne-Marie Carrier, along with Mother Patricia Thomas, paid a visit to India. St. Charles Nursery School section at Bangalore was started on January 17th in the year 1955. In the year 1956, on 30th April, a thrilling news was announced: home visit for the first time for 3 days. In July 1956, Sister Teresita took charge of the new community along with 3 other sisters who were appointed in the Welfare Girls Middle School. Refusal of the plan of Nirmala Hospital for lack of land, funding, personnel and finance was encountered.
In 1957, Sister Jean Marie took over as the superior of Bhadravati Old Town community. On 22nd December 1957, Mother Marie Gerard handed over the charge to Mother Maria as the superior of Little Flower Convent, Ranipet. Hardly Mother finished 6 years of her term, she fell ill. On 22nd May 1958, Mother Carola was appointed as the headmistress of St. Charles School, Kamanahalli. Mother Helena and Mother Isinth were the teaching sisters who went cycling to and fro every day from Lingarajpuram to Kamanahalli. standard 35 and second standard 17 each students were enrolled to educate. In the land at Kamanahalli was purchased for the sum of rupees 4,321. Thus, the plan for the school building was prepared. On July 22nd, the school had its first inspection in view of the recognition from the government. In the same year, 1958, Mother Christian was appointed as the regional superior. And from January 13, 1958 to 1975, Reverend Mother Mary Gerard served as the provincial superior. Reverend Sister Lydia Braggs was the active and vibrant superior during the interior period.
In September 1959, at the request of Ishveshwaraya Iron and Steel Plant Authority, Reverend Jean Marie opened a co-education school, English medium, at Newtown, Bhadravati. The VSL gave a site measuring 14 acres and 35 guntas for the school purpose. The land was leased out for 99 years at the nominal fee of rupees 25 only. On 12 June 1960, one of those auspicious days in the history of St.Charles Convent, Bangalore, the foundation stone was laid for the new chapel, which was blessed by His Grace Thomas Vatakaman at 5 p.m. Invited the first 5 postulants to be present for this occasion, namely Mother Mary from Ranipet, Mother Joseph and Mother Teresita from Shimoga, and Mother Carola and Mother Morris from Bangalore. The superiors of the 4 houses, Ranipet, Shimoga, Bhadravati and Bangalore, were present too. In 1960, Kannada medium school at Newtown was opened. Reverend Sister Louisa Raskina was the first headmistress with a strength of 75 students. The sisters were glad to render their dedicated service, and in 1961, the school got recognition by the government. They received a grant of rupees 300. Though the amount was meager, it served the purpose. The sisters were overwhelmed with joy and gratitude to God for the marvelous things that the Lord has done within a year.
In April 1961, Sisters Veronica Mattam, Regina Rodriguez, Matilda Malaikal, Benedicta Lobo, and Sister Alex Pinto were the first Indian sisters to go to Belgium. On November 1st, 1963, Mother Teresita received a medal from the government as a token of appreciation for the service she rendered. Life never seems to be the way we want it, but we live in the best way we can. There is no perfect life, but we can fill it with perfect moments and memories. During the period of 1957 to 1963, 4 of our precious gems have reached the heavenly abode. They are Reverend Mother Jean Bosco, who surrendered herself to the will of God on 31st May 1957. Reverend Mother Mary Gerard on 3rd September 1959. Reverend Sister Mary Ignatius Chandy on November 24th, 1960. And Mother Virginie on 14th September 1962.
Jalarpet is a railway town in Tirupattur district, Tamil Nadu. It is a commuter rail hub in Southern Railway. The people here mostly depend on farming. The Sisters of St.Charles reached Jalarpet to sow the seeds of compassion much before even its municipality was constituted. The three pioneers, Sister Angela, Sister Helena and Sister Ursula, arrived in Jalarpet on October 7, 1964. Thanks to the invitation of Father Matthew Menages, the parish priest of Jalarpet. When we go through the pages of the history of Jalarpet and Yelagiri communities, one name repeats again and again, a name that is synonym to compassion, sacrifice, dedication and love for the poor. It is none other than the name of the noble soul, the new parish priest, Reverend Father Francis Gezu SDB, who was a missionary seized with the desire to make Jesus known in the mission land and to create new Christian communities. The dream of a new foundation at Jalarpet was realized during the time of Father Gezu as a parish priest of Jalarpet Parish. The major milestones of Jalarpet community from its inception to 1970 are the appointment of the first superior, Sister Cecilia Anthony, on June 1965. Foundation of the English Nursery School, February 1966. Blessing of the foundation stone for the convent building, September 12, 1967. St. Charles Convent, Vakola. In 1965, Mother Christiane Tonnu, the provincial superior, responded to the invitation of the Archdiocese of Bombay, extended by Cardinal Valerian Gracias. Reverend Father Alfred Augier, the manager and principal of St. Anthony's High School, Vakola, wanted a congregation of sisters to take care of the girls studying at St. Anthony's High School. Thus started the mission in the city of dreams in India's west coast, Mumbai, in 1965. The pioneers, Sister Hyacinth Louis, Sister Gertrude, Sister Julia, and Sister Gemma Chavara reached Bombay on June 8, 1965. Milestones of St. Charles Convent, Vakola till 1970. On December 29th, the foundation stone of the convent building was blessed by Father Augier. The birth of the kindergarten took place on June 16, 1966, with Sister Gertrude and Sister Victoria as the first teachers of the infant school. On November 20th, 1966, Cardinal Valerian Gracias blessed the convent building. On June 30th, 1967, the primary section of St. Charles High School was opened with Sister Gertrude, Sister Baptista, and Sister Paul on the teaching staff. St. Luke's Clinic and free dispensary was started in 1968, attending to the needs of the poor of the locality. ERCOT is an example of how the British appreciated the natural resources of India more than the Indians. The English use ERCOT as a summer retreat resort, and their imprints are all over the place. Interestingly, it's not just the British. Even the Sisters of St.Charles loved the scenic beauty and the pleasant weather of ERCOT. In 1964, a suitable place was found at ERCOT for a holiday home, and this marks the beginning of Rocca Borromeo. The pioneers of this mission were Sister Carola, Sister Philomena, and Sister Magdalene. Milestones of ERCOT till 1970. Keeping alive the charism of the founder and choosing an apostolate according to the need of the local people was always the priority and objective of any community, and Rocca Borromeo couldn't be an exemption. Though originally it was meant to be a holiday home for sisters, in 1966 a kindergarten was started. No doubt, the quiet surroundings and the pleasant weather on the hills of ERCOT have attracted many God seekers and provided an apt atmosphere for contemplation and solitude.
Jalarpet, Andhra's offbeat delight, charm natural environs, rich history and synthesis of culture, were the first house of the Sisters of St.Charles Borromeo in Andhra at Guntur district was started in the year 1967. The Bishop of Guntur, Right Reverend Ignatius Mumbai, was impressed and knew the exemplary self-sacrificing life and the charism of the congregation, and wanted the sisters to work among the poor and downtrodden. Our then provincial Mother Christian was providential instrument to extend the missionary service, and she set out to the new region with her two sisters, Paula and Asunta, on 28 June 1967, and they were welcomed by Reverend Father Inaya, the then parish priest. Jalarpet was a developing town with its inhabitants capitalist and working class. The Catholic population was economically poor and illiterate, worked as laborers in the tobacco plantation. In order to cater to the needs of the locality, a nursery school was started in the same year.
The mission grew in leaves and bonds. The sisters planned to have an English medium school, which will finance all other projects such as Telugu medium school, dispensary, an orphanage, tailoring school, and creche. To express the charism of our founder and express our concern for the poor by teaching, caring for the sick, relieving all kinds of moral and physical misery, and thus make known the love of God our Father to all.
The Chronicles. In 1968, the dispensary building was started and it was completed in the same year. Reverend Father Deluge helped financially to complete the dispensary building in 1969. A shed was built to run the school. first year, there were 14 children in the nursery. The following year, classes were conducted in the auditorium of the Ladies' Club. In 1970, land was given by the bishop on the Pedanandipedu Road for the construction of the new school building. Sister Asunta was the first headmistress and instrumental in building up the school into what it is today. Sister Paula was the first correspondent, and she also rendered her services in the dispensary and animated the community from 1968 to 1973. Yelagiri Hills, 1968 to 1970, a place where you can enjoy a mix of everything. Yelagiri's charm lies in its moderation, the calmness of the lake, the gentleness of the hills, the solitude of the jungles. Oh, place of natural wonder. Send forth your spirit, O Lord, that the face of the earth be renewed. This was the result of a response given to an invitation extended to the Sisters of St.Charles in 1968 by Reverend Father Francis Gesu, STP, a French missionary, and his vision for collaboration in his adventurous endeavor of uplifting the primitive hill tribes. Reverend Mother Christiane, a courageous Belgian missionary, the then provincial superior, had no hesitation in answering this call of the hills and sending her sisters to work there. It was their wild dream and unabashed obsession with a mission of compassion that enthused and energized them.
Responsibly sharing in the mega project of Reverend Father Gesu, the Sisters of St. Charles Borromeo worked with loving heart, creative vision, and unflinching courage. When we pool our strength and work in one mind and heart, the presence of the religious is a place becomes a source of growth and inspiration to all. The mission at Yelagiri is testimony to it. Owing to the generosity of Reverend Father Gesu and Mr. Duhan, a friend and benefactor, the Sisters of St. Charles were able to open new avenues of apostolic activities, all for the cause of the tribal, like mobile clinic, evening study classes for the children of government schools, supervising construction of houses, digging of wells for the poor and small farmers, educating the farmers. In updating irrigation methods and rotation of crops, beekeeping, sheep rearing, adult education, and literacy programs, our hill was almost an uninhabitable place for human being was civilized by the presence of our sisters.
The Chronicles. Father Gesu gifted a land at Yelagiri to the convent, and a compound wall was built on January 31st on the feast of St. John Bosco, and Father Gesu blessed the land for the convent on this hill. And on March 22nd, 1969, a small community residence was blessed, and sisters started their mission in faithful cooperation with Father Gesu. On November 7th, 1969, the dispensary was blessed, and in 1970, St. Charles Dispensary started providing medical facilities. From October 1970, Yelagiri became a new taboo for the Sisters of St.Charles, Borromeo.
Madurai community, imparting Christian education through all our ministries, being the part of the charism of the congregation, intended mainly for educating the educators and give importance for the spiritual values, faith in God and in others. Based upon the gospel values and moral values through the influence of Reverend Father A.J. Francis CSSR, who inspired the Bishop Madurai to begin the new venture at Madurai Diocese. Mother Christian, who was the provincial superior, who willingly responded and sent Sisters Benigna and Andrea to Madurai in 1969 to prepare the way. Sisters Lizzie and Gertrude were the forerunner of the Madurai mission. Sisters visited the locality and recruited 15 children to start the nursery classes in the rented house at Tirunagar. The mission was officially launched on 16th June 1969. The pioneers were Sisters Benigna and Miriam. The English medium school was started on 19th June 1969. Classes were conducted in the rented building at Tirunagar. Sister Anne Mary was the superior of the community. She took charge on 25th June 1970. The Archbishop Justin Diravium installed the Blessed Sacrament on 4th November.
Doing work is always a result of loving God. Here I share about the community of Omzur. In 1970, May 17th, Sisters of St.Charles, Borromeo landed in Omzur, Arkula, Mangalore. Sisters Antoinette Machado and Maria Goretti Raskina were the pioneers. It was on the Pentecost feast, Bishop late Basil de Souza offered Mass at the Holy Family Church and exhorted the parishioners to accept the sisters in the parish.
The parish priest A. Rodriguez and Bishop of Mangalore, late Basil de Souza, thanked the Superior General of the congregation, late Mother Anne Mary Carlier, and the Provincial Superior Mother Christian. Sisters lived in a small house at Mayadi village and continued their mission.
As we journeyed through these years from 1951 to 1970, we visualized and gained a splendid experience of two metaphors. Tiny mustard seed of compassion and perseverance in tireless service of our pioneers, and little yeast leaven of selfless service and passion for mission of Christ of our senior sisters, who expanded exuberantly the various apostolates of our congregation. We salute them for their glorious contribution towards continual extension of our mission of Christ. Thank you.